All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 4 of the Gaming Squared Circle podcast. It is August 6th, 2017. This is episode number 4, and this is gaming episode number 2. This I forgot my own intro. It's hosted by Brent Schinkel and Matt Aronalt, and
Woo!
yeah, we've got I guess we can call it today Nintendo Day.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I got one Nintendo thing, but the other thing isn't strictly Nintendo related. But yeah, I guess it's kind of true. Sort of.
Yeah, we could. I don't know. I was like trying to think of something witty, and my brain just would not let me do it. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually a little unprepared for this week, unlike the other weeks, because I switched to second shifts on my job, and so most of my time's been spent working and sleeping.
Oh shit. uh,
Yeah. So this will be fun.
uh, yeah, I've actually got quite a bit of information myself. So I guess I can just kind of. I guess I'll kind of take the lead a little bit on this one, I suppose.
Yeah, by all means.
Alrighty, so I guess I'll jump right into it. So lately I've been uh playing this little game called uh I've been playing this game called Night in the Woods. And basically, to sum up my thought, I think it's a really cool game. I think it's a really cool game that everyone should give a shot. So Night in the Woods is one of those games that focuses on the narrative rather than the gameplay.
Right.
So it's kind of similar to games like Life is Strange or the Telltale's or the Telltale or the Telltale's Walking Dead games. And basically, the story is centered around a 20-something-year-old anthropomorphic cat named May, who basically recently dropped out of college and returned to her hometown that is seemingly that is seemingly falling apart. And basically throughout the game, she basically has the option to join her friend and go on various adventures with them, which gives character development to each of the main characters involved. This is very much a game that I don't think everybody will like. But I think it's one of those games that could be appreciated more if you who have lived in a similar setting to Night in the Woods.
Right. So you said it's a very story-based game, focuses more on the story than gameplay. How is it like? Is it, you said it was like The Walking Dead, where you know, is it one of those games that the choices you make impact the story? That if you choose to do this instead of this, you get a different outcome, or does it all just kind of play on a linear story where the choices somehow manage to get like the same ending?
Well, I would say it's kind of both. Like regardless of what decisions you make, you pretty much get the same plot twist and same ending as you would when you make other decisions. But like the difference is but basically the differences comes from almost fun. Like throughout the game, you hang out with during every evening. You have the option to choose. You get to choose which of your friends you want to hang out with more. How it more. And depending on how much you hang out with that person, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Either, either, hmm. But basically, towards the ending, uh, depending on the person you hang out with, by the end of the game, you're kind of best friends with that person. I guess without spoiling anything, that's probably as much as I can tell you. I guess it's not much to go on, but yeah,
Right. So basically, the people that you choose, um, like the more you choose one person, the more of an impact they sort of have on the game. Like if you were to choose between A, B, and C. If you stick with A more, then person A has uh, has more of like an impact in the ending than B or C would.
yeah, pretty much. Like as you progress through that character's story, through that character's story, you get a decent amount of character development that really has an impact on the game's experience.
Okay. So it sounds really neat that um, who you choose and how what you do does kind of has some sort of an impact. It's not just like, oh, I could choose this person, but it doesn't matter who I choose. The ending could be the exact same either way. Um, but so take me through the gameplay here. So with story games like the Telltale's Walking Dead series, um, I haven't personally played them myself, but from what I've seen, the Walking Dead games tend to feel more like you're locked in a scene. You have to interact with people, and there's not a whole lot of mobility until you make a decision. Is uh, is this game sort of like that in a sense, or does it have a little bit more free range that you? It's still story based, but you're able to move around more.
Yeah, this game definitely lets you move around a lot more. Like basically, throughout the game, you're pretty much running around town a bunch. Like you're in this little small town called Possum Springs, and what you basically do is like the game itself really promotes it really promotes ex- the game itself promotes exploration a lot of the time. Basically, before you progress the main story, it pretty much encourages you to interact with a lot of the other to interact with a lot of the other characters and just like the other sites and stuff. You get an idea of just how run down the small town itself is, and that's just something else I thought was really interesting.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that the game does promote exploration because my biggest gripe with some games like this one and with The Walking Dead Telltales is some of these games like you're locked into place until you have to make a decision. But I do like games that allow you a little bit of freedom, like you're able to go and do one thing here, and it kind of has that open world feel. I like games like that Uh, like you don't have to go by like the timeline that's laid out in the game. That you could feel like, oh, I want to explore here for a little bit, see what this game has to offer in that sense. And that's there was a game like that I played uh, a while ago on the PlayStation 4. It's actually called Firewatch. Don't know if you've heard of it. I
I don't think I have. No.
just stumbled across it.
Okay.
Oh, you have?
No, I haven't.
Oh, let's. I stumbled across it on the store one day, and I think it was on sale. And I read the synopsis of it, and I was like, "Oh, it's on sale. It's got a nice story. I'll go ahead and get it." And the whole premise of Firewatch is you're um shit. You're a I think you become a volunteer firefighter. The main character, I can't remember his name because I played it so long ago. Kind of beat it in like 2 sit-downs, I think, because it's like Nine Into the Woods. It's more story based than it is gameplay,
Yeah.
and so it takes you through like this timeline at the beginning where you're making choices. You don't see any of the events happen because it's like it tells a story for you, and then you make the choices, and then you go into the game. It's like kind of the events leading up to where you start. Um, I'm trying not to focus too much on the story. I'm trying to describe more of the game, but like you after you go through all the events and you get to the game, you're out in this field, right? You have a little watchtower to make sure that the forest doesn't catch on fire because it's that time of the year where the heat's high and there's fire warnings out. And but basically the game itself is very exploration based. You sometimes have to leave your tower and you go and follow the trails because your supervisor I think gives you reports of stuff that she sees, and you have to go like investigate what's going on. But it's not like if you don't do it, then the game just like uh, the game won't punish you for not doing it on time. But like you can go around and explore the forest and the trees and uh, everything else. But
Okay.
so is so Nine Into the Woods is sort of like you have an objective to do, but you don't need to do it in like a certain time. Like you could go explore somewhere and come back to it in that sense.
Yeah, I'd pretty much say that. Like, there's no there's no time limit to when you have to progress this story. When you have to progress this story, I guess it's pretty much just whenever you're ready to. So.
All right. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Actually, Is it what platforms is it available on?
Actually, is available on Steam and the PlayStation 4, I believe.
Cool. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. I think I remember. I think I saw something with a similar title. It may have just been Into the Woods, but yeah, I'll keep an eye out for it when I go game shopping online.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's basically worth checking out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Shit, I lost my train of thought. Because we've been really struggling to find games to play recently. Like I think most of what we played since the last podcast has still been Crash Bandicoot.
Right.
Speaking of, I actually have all the gems now, which that was awful. Getting all the gems in the Crash Bandicoot one is still awful.
Really, still yeah, still a pain in the butt, I see.
Oh yeah, like because they put the color gems on like all of like the most infuriating levels. The green gem is on the Lost City, which is it's got that Sunset Vista theme where it's got the bats, the lizards, and the very vertical base platforming rather than horizontal.
Yeah.
And with the color gems, you still have to get them all without dying. Like you can die in the bonus levels, but you can't die in the main level. Like if you lose a life, you lose that gem.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
That'd be pretty frustrating to deal with.
oh, it was. I got lucky with it on my second playthrough round because I was actually streaming it, and I got the green gem for that on my first go, and I didn't get it on my other save file. So I was like, you know what, this is going to become my main save now. I'm going to beat the game from here.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's actually a little nice little nugget of information. Crash Bandicoot 1 actually has 6 color gems, whereas 2 and 3 only have 5. The extra gem that they threw in there is like they have a yellow gem and a like a light orange gem. They look about similar, but that's one of the things that got me is that there's 6 color gems instead of 5. So they have the green one on the Lost City, and then you get to Cortex Island, which is the third one in the game, and it's like um, Generator Room has the yellow gem, which that one wasn't too hard. I don't think it was a. I can't remember what type of level it was, but I don't remember it being too difficult. Toxic Waste has the blue gem, which is easy if you know how to time it, and if you go in with 2 masks, so that even if you get hit, you don't die immediately. Slippery Climb of all levels. That one easily was the most frustrating one. The purple one is on Lights Out, which is the when you're in the castle itself, and you have to use Aku Aku as sort of like a light to guide you along. And then the shiny yellow gem is on the lab, which that's I can't believe I beat that on the first go because that level has so many tricks and traps that it's insane.
Oh yeah,
But
I never beat that on the first go. I died too many times.
yeah, because you know you got the exclamation boxes that open the doors and like close off bottomless pits, and having to time those perfectly and get to level without dying, definitely not easy. But once you get those 6 gems, actually getting the clear gems isn't terrible because you don't have to die on levels with clear gems to get them. But it's still pretty difficult for levels like heavy machinery, which is closer towards the end of the game. Because you know the difficulty spikes so dang high that it gets ridiculous to try to get all the boxes in one go. But like I said, with the clear gems, you don't have to do it all flawlessly. You could mess up and still get the gem, and I think that was one of the main reasons I was able to beat this so much easier than the original one, which I still haven't beat. And you can't make me beat the original. Like, there's just no way. I don't have
Right.
patience. Um, yeah, like I was saying before, we don't have a whole lot of games to choose from. We've just been playing that for like the past month. So definitely might look into picking up Night into the Woods as something different.
Yeah, it's definitely different for sure. Uh, I guess going back to that for a little bit, I did have a few points that I kind of wanted to point out real quick. Well, like I said before, I think it's one of those kind of games that people would like more. that people would like more if they related to it more. Like for instance, a big part of the another big part of the game is the poor economy that is the poor economy that everyone is the poor economy that everyone is in. How they handled that is done in a mature and very realistic way. That's very effective and satisfying. Like for instance, um, they capture the frustrations and annoyance of the workers and citizens in town very accurately. Uh, uh, which is a point in the game that I thought more people could relate to. I draw from my own experience. There's a point in the game where May, the character you're playing as there's a point where she discovers that uh, there's a point in the game that their local pizza place has been shut down as because uh, um not long after playing the game myself, I learned that a coffee place that I liked a lot back home uh, that I liked a lot back home um wasn't around that long. Just recently announced that it was going about uh just recently announced that it was going out of business. At the time, I was just having flashbacks to the game that I just kind of thought was interesting. And really,
Okay, so I see where you're getting at now. I actually have the game pulled up on my phone. I'm looking at screenshots as you're telling me about it, and this game actually looks really neat. And the thing that caught my attention immediately was that the main character looks like a cat.
right?
I think you may have mentioned that. Actually, I think you did mention that, and just kind of flew over
Yeah,
my head. But I had to look at it again. And I was like, "Oh yeah, he said that." But what you mentioned about the local businesses, little PSA here, definitely support your local businesses because they don't get the big uh, funding from corporations to keep doing what they do. You know, they rely on you, and honestly, there are some local businesses that I would go to rather than big, uh, name brand places that are owned by large corporations. Um, but yeah, the more I hear you talk about this game, the more it makes me think of my hometown because I grew up in a very small town as well, and I haven't been back since I moved away. But I'm sure that if I were to go back and visit, things would be a lot different there too. Like it would have been shut down, and everybody's. It's been 6 years for me, so everybody's like, things have changed a lot, and I haven't
right.
got to see that yet. So I can definitely relate to it on that level, and I was looking at the reviews for it too. It has a 10 out of 10 rating on Steam,
Really?
and it has it's
Yeah, I did not
got,
know
let's
that.
see, yeah, on Steam is rated 10 out of 10. GameSpot gave it a 9 out of 10, and is available on Steam. It is also available on PlayStation 4, like you said. Um, but yeah, this game looks really neat. As for the game itself, did it take a while to get going? Like, were you playing it for the first few minutes and was like, okay, when's the story going to kick in, or did it just kind of grasp your attention like right away?
Yeah, I think I would say that did take a little bit. Uh, that did take a little bit to start get going. Actually, no, you mentioned it. That actually does lead. That actually does lead into one of my criticisms about the game. And like basically, if you're not going through the days explore, if you're not going through the days exploring the town And you just want to progress through the story. All right. Um, I guess you could say that. I guess you could say that the pacing can be pretty slow at times. I guess the pacing can be pretty slow at times. Uh, I remember at points during the experience where I just kind of wanted to make progress throughout the story, and then when I try to get to my and then when I tried to then when I tried to get to my destination, just to go hang out with someone, someone um I guess getting there seemed a little time consuming. Like at times I wish they put something in the game where you could just kind of like fast travel to it, but that you could just fast travel to a specific place. Place two.
Right. So there are measures like, hey, let's get a move on with this. What happens next? There's stuff like that in most games. That there's that moment of, oh, no, what happens next, and you're just kind of sitting there, just waiting for it to happen. Then that, yeah, I can over.
Right. I don't think I got all what you said. Your connection kind of like I started acting weird again. Can you say that again real quick?
Oh yeah. It's just like the game is like you have points where it feels kind of sluggish, but uh, you're wanting to get along with the story, and then when it does, it just kind of catches you off guard that it's something you really didn't see coming, or that when you start to have that realization of, oh, we're actually getting more story now, and you kind of start to focus in more on it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as you progress through the game, there is a bunch of stuff that there is more exciting. There is more exciting stuff that tends to happen throughout. That happens throughout the game, and then towards the end of the game, without going into any spoilers, you get these plot twists that are odd, but they're also really satisfying because the plot twist really adds more to the it really adds more to the history of where they live and stuff like that, and like just kind of like how everyone's kind of reacting to it, and the little plot twist towards the end just kind of really gives it more depth.
Right. Yeah, this seems like I said before, this game seems really, really interesting. I didn't notice in the screenshots that it was, it's 2D, so it's already sort of different from the 3D universes that we're accustomed to in this day and age.
Yeah.
So I noticed there's actually been a rise of like 2D puzzle platformers coming back. I know this game's more story based, but I don't know. It just seems weird that developers are going back to two-dimensional. Or maybe that's more of like an indie game thing that maybe it's easier for them to program in 2D. But I don't know. It just seems like they've been popping up more and more recently.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. For a while now, there has just been like a bunch of really good a bunch of really good indie games where they pretty much throw back to some of the to some more classic stuff. Uh, One of my personal favorites is the Binding of Isaac. I just think that game is really unique in what it does. It's, uh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, the platformer thing coming up, and the new Sonic Mania that they're coming out with is they've taken Sonic and they've actually like reverted back to like the graphics from Sonic 1, 2, and 3. They've they're making a brand new Sonic game in the old Sonic style. Like even the big names are taking a step back to the formula that worked before, and they're trying to make lightning strike twice.
Right.
It's weird to see, because gaming started in 2D, then we had with Sonic and Mario and just all the 2D platformers, and we moved to 3D where you've got Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter. Some elements of Uncharted have platforming in them, and God of War definitely has some platforming, and God of War has a little bit of everything, to be honest. And now we're like taking a step back to two-dimensional. It's just, it befuddles me that that we're going from 3D back to 2D. But hey, maybe it works if it's easier to, because with gaming nowadays, everybody wants everything now. So maybe 2D is easier to program and to make a good game with that's more story based than it is to make a 3D platformer that's entirely based on gameplay but has just enough story to be satisfying.
Yeah, I'll disagree with you there at all. I guess as far as that goes, I think there's kind of a trend among. I think there's kind of a trend among gamers that just kind of want to go back to some more that just want to go back to some more retro styles. That would surprise me because I am one of those gamers. And while like all the pretty neat graphics can be gorgeous to look at, it just kind of seems like that's all every game is these days. At least as far as mainstream ones go. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree at all. Like the mainstream games is more on pushing the limits of what their graphics can achieve rather than trying to make like a good game with good content. Like it's this game. It was released on the PlayStation 4. It was this boy in like this skyscraper sized dog wolf sheep thing that follows you around. What was it? I think it was called The Last Guardian or something like that.
Oh yeah,
I'm on my.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I looked at that game and it looks like. Don't get me wrong, it looks amazing. The graphics on it are phenomenal. But to me, I haven't played the game, so maybe I'm completely wrong when I say this, but it looks like there's not a whole lot of substance to the game. Like, because it looks great, but I don't really think there's a story there. Seems like there was a lot of time and effort put into it. It just seems like that, there's a boy, there's a dog, they're trying to find something, and they have to build trust with each other somehow. And I don't know, maybe I just haven't looked at the story yet, but maybe I'm using The Last Guardian as a bad example, but it seems like games like that are more or less made to be like, hey, this game looks pretty, buy it, and there'll be a lot to explore. Actually, I have a better example for that. No Man's Sky.
Right.
That game is all looks and is a complete disappointment. because I watched my brother stream it uh, on PlayStation 4, and with the trailer, No Man's Sky kind of deceives you. It's like, there's an endless world of exploration, and you'll meet all these wonderful creatures, and there's like a big story to uncover, and really it's just Minecraft in space with good graphics.
Right.
So I can definitely understand why gamers want to go back to that retro style. And with a 2D platformer, I don't know a damn thing about game development or game design, so I'm speaking out of my ass here. Maybe the 2D platformer would be much easier to develop gameplay wise, and then that gives the writers more time to like put together a great story and incorporate that into the game. Whereas on the flip side, you spend all this time, working on graphics, gameplay, how it looks, how it feels, and then your story is just complete crap. Like No Man's Sky, I don't even think there is a story to it. I think it's you just explore stuff and see how far you can go, and it's just kind of like a never-ending sandbox with no depth to it.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you that that a 2D game would probably be easier to make than a 3D one. Because like being a content creator myself, I actually did kind of look into some kind of game development myself, and uh, there are plenty of indie games these days that are made with Adobe Flash. That are made with Adobe Flash, and like I think if I like looked up the I guess the right tutorials online, I could probably like do something through that. But I guess if you want to do three, but I guess if you want to do three, if you want to do like a 3D game, you'd probably have to like get an entirely different application system to make it.
Oh yeah, and branching off of that, um, even the character designs, something as simple as just putting together how a character looks, it's already like vastly simpler because with a 2D, you have you have an X axis and a Y axis to worry about, and so when you're making a character, um, you could just make it with the X and Y axis in mind. But when you have a 3D, you have the X, Y, and the Z. So not only do you have to get how they look facing you, but you have to get like every angle of every direction they could be facing with the Z axis. And I remember watching a video. It was a channel called A Plus Start, and he has this series where he looks at character models. Um, from like he looks at character models as a history. Like he did one for Crash Bandicoot where he went from Crash Bandicoot 1 all the way up to Mind Over Mutant. Now I don't know if the Insane Trilogy was out at that point or not, but with some of the models in there have like tens upon thousands of polygons and vectors that they're using just to make the model for the character itself. I feel like if you take away that z-axis, the development and the design becomes 1,000 times simpler, and in turn, you don't spend as much time making 3D models, you spend more time uh, getting getting the design right, and then you're able to focus more on the story. Um, and yeah, I wouldn't even know where to start on making a 3D character. So I mean, if
Right.
people, like you said, indie games, the rise with that, there's been a whole lot more 2D puzzle platformers, just just from the simple fact that they're easier to make. But when you're not spending as much time making the game, you can take that brain power, get a team of writers, and you know make an amazing story. But I don't understand why they can do that with 2D games. And with 3D games, it is more complex to make those characters. But why is it so much harder to make a good story?
Right.
Because it doesn't even have to be like complex, like or life changing and revolutionary like Nine in the Woods is. Because there's Nine in the Woods focuses on a lot of serious themes that relate with today's world. But with games like, I go back to Crash a lot, but it's a good example to use, like Crash and Spyro and these other platformers that their story is simple. Crash, in the first game, his girlfriend gets captured. He's an experiment gone wrong. He needs to save his girlfriend and stop evil from taking over his island. Crash 2, Cortex tries to take over the island again. Crash has to stop him again. Crash 3, rinse and repeat, except now there's time travel and another evil mask.
Right.
So, I don't know. It just seems like the story is dying in the mainstream today, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah, neither do I. I think I totally. Yeah, I think I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, it just does not make sense to me at all. But here's a neat thing. I actually was reading this just now. The Kickstarter for Night in the Woods called for $50,000 in funding, and I think in just a day or like 26 hours they raised like 200 grand to make the game. So they were like well over their goal.
Yeah, I did read that too. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool thing. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool thing they did.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I guess that's another way of how indie games are sort of on the rise, because with this platform of social media, you can promote like Kickstarters and fundraisers to get these projects going. And with one that goes, you have some that go great, like Nine in the Woods, and a bunch of other indie games. But then there's one that went not so good, and I think um, there was a documentary on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there, but I remember watching it, and I think it was called Indie Game. But it basically goes into it went behind the scenes of what an indie game developer really goes through when they're trying to get a game sold. And the two games they looked at were Super Meat Boy and Fez. And I thought the documentary was brilliant because you had the end of Super Meat Boy where they were a success. I think it's one of the highest selling games on the Xbox Live Arcade and on Steam, if I'm not mistaken. And then you look at Fez, and Fez gets delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed some more, and it seems like he has a good concept, but he um can't quite get what he was looking for in the documentary. And um he it details the emotion that he's going through well too, because he finally gets the point where he thinks he has a product that he can show at conventions, and so he goes to this convention. He's got his booth set up for Fez, and there's a lot of times where the game crashes or the game like it crashes or it freezes or something goes wrong or uh a lot of people had a lot of complaints about Fez, and it seems like that it got stuck in developmental hell. Like, how like an NXT star gets stuck in developmental hell.
Right.
Uh, Fez just never made it out of there. I think it got released though. Let me double check. I got my phone here. Not Gex. I want Fez. Fez game.
Yeah, I do think it get.
Speak.
Yeah, I do think it did get released at some point too. Because yeah, I think I remember watching the same documentary at 1.2.
Yeah. It was really neat. I want to try to find it again and watch it if I can.
Yeah.
Let's see. Indie Game the movie. That is what it's called. Let's see. Fez was released for. It was released on the Xbox 360 April 13th, 2012, on Windows. Year later, May 1st, 2013. Then it came to PS3, PS4, PS Vita in 2014, and it just came out for iOS this year, actually.
Neat.
Development. Apparently, he developed this game for 5 years.
No, wow.
So says Wikipedia.
Yeah.
There's actually an article on the development of the game. Oh my god. Let's see. When did they first start it? History. Okay, Fez was first announced in July 2007, according to Wikipedia here, on the independent gaming source. Trailer released in October 2007 convinced Jason DeGroot to join the development team as a producer. So they announced the game in July 2007, and let me see, where's that documentary? The documentary was released in 2012, so I guess the documentary came out after the game was released. Uh, oh no, it actually came out like while the game was still in production because it got released on 360 in August, but the movie came out in January on Sundance, and then June through digital. So it was like a couple months before the game came out. But I mean, I completely lost with all this, but I think the overall that the I've completely rambled and gone on a tangent and just lost my original point to all of this. Oh boy. But oh yeah. But yeah, like with the whole coming of age and technology, these games are able to become reality, whether they take 5 years or a day to get their goal.
Right. For sure.
But let's see. So we talked about Night in the Woods, talked about indie versus mainstream. Oh yeah, with the whole resurgence of the retro style, like not only are games going back to retro style, the consoles themselves are going back. Like uh, they're re-releasing the NES Classic. Why?
um. Yeah, I noticed this myself too. Too. And I guess to simply put it, I think that it's just kind of like a cash grab. I think it's a cash grab personally by Nintendo. Uh, uh, Nintendo, because what doesn't make sense to me is because around last fall they had released the NES Classic, but they were so scarce that fans could even get their hands on. That fans couldn't even get their hands on them for a while. Uh, for a while, and within half uh, and then within half a year, not even within the first 6 months that they released it, they for whatever reason they discontinued selling them. So fans who wanted it never got to get it. And I have no reason to believe that the release of the SNES Classic would be any different.
Right. I don't know what they were thinking with this. Like, so I looked more into it just now, and the NES Classic is it's a plug and play, so it's not like they're taking the old consoles, refurbishing them, and releasing it. It's sort of a new thing, but at the same time, it's not. It's like this is why the NES Classic doesn't make sense, is because it's literally an emulator that you plug into your TV. But
pretty much,
yeah, and the whole NES emulator thing that was done like so long ago. You could go onto emulatorzone.net and there's like countless NES and SNES emulators, and you don't even need a controller. You could play with your keyboard, or if you really wanted to, you could like get a controller with a USB port, plug it in, map the buttons to it, and it's the same thing, and it costs literally nothing. I mean, your computer may get a few viruses here and there, but that all depends on where you download it from. But they're selling these consoles, and I do agree with you. I think it is like a huge cash grab, because not only are these games already available on like the Wii and the Wii U, because you can go and download them for like a fraction of what the console itself costs. I guess their whole selling point is, play it like how it was meant to be with the classic controllers, and I feel like they're kind of taking a shot at the emulators. Like, I mean, if you could read it that way, it's like, yeah, play this with the classic controller. Don't play it on the Wii or the Wii U or on your laptop. Play it how it's meant to be. It's like, well, why? It's no different. As sure, it's a different controller, but the game still plays the same.
yeah, for real. Here's something else that really bugs me about the SNES Classic, and so they've got like a bunch of games on there, and most of them are usually like all these pretty old games that everyone has already played before. But there is one in particular that's game put on there that has never gotten released before. And that game is Star Fox 2. And what that is a canceled sequel to the original Star Fox. To the original Star Fox that was on the SNES back in the day. Now, for most people, this kind of seems like the selling point of the SNES Classic. But for me, I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. I don't think one supposedly new game is worth all that money for a bunch of older games.
Right. And they're selling the NES Classic at $79.99. And like you said, the only real new thing you're getting out of that is Star Fox 2, which Don't get me wrong. I love Star Fox. I really do. Like, but $80, which is 20 above the retail price of a brand new game for the Xbox One or the PS4. Like, if they had, I don't know, it's they're re-releasing these classic consoles. They're re-releasing the NES and the SNES, but at the same time, they've got the Nintendo Switch. Why do they need to re-release these?
Hmm.
They don't need to. The Nintendo Switch is literally selling out GameStops everywhere, and starting out at $300, Nintendo should be like rolling in money. And if they want more money, all they have to do is release another Mario game. People eat that shit up.
Yeah, right, for sure. And like with stuff like that, I'll actually go ahead and take that and just kind of lead into like the problems that I've been that I've been like criticizing Nintendo with for a while. I think uh, 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 a Nintendo for a while, and basically their business ideas with the classic systems at the Nintendo Switch have just been kind of baffling to me. Mainly because there is a big scarcity of there's a big scarcity of their game systems right now, and it's not really fair to the fan. Like it's not really fair to their fans, and really Nintendo just seems oblivious to that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo um, put their efforts. Let's see, you got the Switch, NES Classic, SNES Classic. That's three consoles that they're shelling out. And the demand for the Switch is the NES or SNES Classic because the classic systems. I mean, the systems themselves aren't available, but you can play those games through various different platforms, bootlegged or not, and it's taken away from what they should be working on, and is their newer system, that they've put so much effort into, and it just doesn't make any sense from a business standpoint that, or if they've got this incredible selling console like the Switch, what do they need the clicks for? They're trying to be a money grab, and they're losing money in that regard because they're putting effort into these classic consoles to re-release. When you could take that money, make more Switches, and then make more money so that you can make more Switches. And yeah, it's blowing my mind here that it's a simple formula. You spend money to make money, and right now they're spending money to blow it on classic consoles. Like, come on now.
Yeah, for real though, it's just really kind of baffling to see what they're doing right now. It's kind of baffling to see what they're doing right now. Like it really shows how it just really shows how out of touch with the modern day game world they really are. And I'm gonna move away from the classic systems for just a second. To Nintendo's credit, they are doing some things with the Nintendo Switch. And now that being said, it's not very good. At one point, I wanted to make up regarding that. It's how far behind they are on. It's how far they're behind on in-game interact. And another thing I want to bring up is how far they are behind on in-game interaction on the internet. Like how like Xbox and PlayStation systems It sounds like um. You can actually talk to people. You can actually talk to people in games uh, uh and or in parties by simply using a headset. Well, Nintendo isn't doing that. Um, but how they're approaching that is somewhat hysterical. Hysterical. Basically, what they're doing is that they have you download the Nintendo Switch app, and from there is where you can do voice chat. Once you download the app, then you can sync it to your Nintendo Switch. Um, but in order to do this, you literally have to keep your phone on at all times. You have to keep your phone on at all times. Not just leave it on, but you can't click away from the screen. If you leave the screen, it would kick you out of the party and voice chat. It has to be on all the time, and I would imagine this would drain the battery life on your phone really quickly. And really, this sounds like the most asinine and unnecessary thing that Nintendo has done up to this point. It's laughable, really.
Oh yeah, like the biggest thing that annoys me, you have to keep the app open at all times for it to work properly.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm using Google Hangouts and I'm scrolling through the internet and picking up information, and it hasn't kicked me out of the call. And that's a Google thing. Nintendo is honestly like, I don't get it. You've got this $300 console that you can take with you. It's pretty much like how to explain it. It's you're, you're taking Nintendo with you wherever you go, and when you take things that you expect, like voice chat, when uh when you have to go out of your way to get something like that, that already is a red flag that you shouldn't have to go and get like a third party system or something, or to get an app from a different source just to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how voice chat was on the Wii, because I never really dabbled with Nintendo's Wi-Fi too much, just because it really wasn't reliable. I tried to play Brawl a few times, and it's my internet. Maybe it was Nintendo servers or little column A, little column B, but online Brawl for me never really worked, and I don't know that they had a way of voice chat on there. I'm sure there's probably some way through third party or something, but I mean, um, you have the problem with the voice chat, and there's an easy solution for the classic games if you really desperately want those classic games from the NES and the SNES so bad. Why not have? Okay, so quick question: can you transfer your account from the Wii to the Wii U?
Um.
Like,
I will be honest. I don't really think. I don't think the original we had the option where you could just like have your own. Where you could have your own account. Account.
all right. Oh yeah,
And
that's right.
yeah.
I think they just had like friend codes or something, or there was some way they did that. But okay. Let me ask this: can you take your 3DS, let's say, friend code from the 3DS to the Switch?
I haven't tried that yet, but I believe there is a way to do that on the Switch. Yes.
Okay. So I think on the 3DS they have the Nintendo Shop. I think you can get the. I think you can still get NES and SNES Classic games on 3DS, can't you?
I think so. I think there's some classic games you can get on that. Yeah.
Okay, so if they really want to sell those so bad, why not just have your account information and purchase history, have that go from the 3DS to the Switch? You know, like the PlayStation does this, and I'm pretty sure the Xbox does this as well. You can transfer your account. You can transfer your 360 account to the Xbox One and your PS3 to the PS4. You know, same login information, same this and that. Same gamer score, trophies, whichever. And there's something else on there. The wallet balance that you had from the PS3 goes over to the PS4 as well, and I'm sure it does the same on the Xbox. Well, I don't know, the Xbox store system is a little bit different, but that's neither here nor there. If you have that from the 3DS to the Switch, they're both handhelds. You take them both with you. If you've got those classic games on there on the 3DS and you've got them on the Switch, if it's already purchased under that account, just have them re-downloaded on the Switch. If you want to have the classic games have a resurgence in that aspect, then all you've got to do is, or even if they can't do that, just put them back on the Switch store. If people really love a game, they'll buy it again. I can't tell you how many times I've bought the classic Super Mario Bros. Just for a nostalgia trip. And I bought it on the Wii. It's like, 500 Wii points, which is like $5. And I don't know, it just seems like Nintendo has a lot of simple things that they could do, and they're still trying to get money when they don't need money. The Switch is doing it for them. These classic consoles are just, they're more for the nostalgia factor and for a cash grab than they are for anything. What's the word? Anything practical.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The way I see Nintendo these days, I'm tempted to say that Nintendo is the WWE of the video game industry. Because while they deliver great content, they still consistently make questionable behaviors as far as their business practices go. Oh, and they're both really similar in that regard.
Oh yeah, like with WWE, you get the same guys in their main event scene, and with Nintendo, my dog, my fiance, my baby are all staring at me, and I'm feeling very concerned right now.
They're watching you.
They're watching me very hard. What are you doing? Do you hear Daddy being a nerd? Yeah, no, you don't. Anyway, probably bore you to sleep. What? Okay, so like I was saying, WWE, they got the same guys, main event scene all the time. Nintendo's got, the same things they got. Legend of Zelda, Super Mario. They're rehashing Mega Man, Mega Man was on NES and SNES. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll do another Final Fantasy, and it'll be on. I don't know. Maybe I'm stretching it with Final Fantasy, but I mean, you get the idea. They're taking these old characters, rehash them. I can't tell you how many. There'll probably be like new Super Mario Brothers new for the Switch, or be like, it's just the same stuff over and over again. And I mean, it works. You can't say that they're not doing anything wrong. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So, right. But at the same time, Nintendo has to be a little bit adventurous with something. for the past 30 years, it's been Zelda, Mario, Kirby, um, and all the other Nintendo mascots. And hell, even with Pokemon, it's the same concept, but at least they're adding new elements to it. There's what, one of the 7 generations of Pokemon now, and I've only just started to become familiar with Generation 6. I haven't even touched Sun and Moon yet, but yeah, I could agree with that sentiment that Nintendo is kind of gaming, but then what does that make Xbox and PlayStation?
I guess New Japan is PlayStation, and I guess I don't know what Xbox is. Ring of Honor or something. I don't know.
I'd say we call Xbox TNA, Impact, GFW, Anthem, fuck that owl.
I don't know if I'd go that far, because like there's still stuff on the Xbox that I like. That I like personally. And while TNA is just kind of there or something, I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I don't either, but I guess I can give them Ring of Honor. That, I don't know. I've had the Xbox for so long and just kind of grew stale with it, and then got the PlayStation. I was like, oh, this is much better. So,
right.
But so why didn't you mention pro wrestling? Because next week our episode 5 will be our second wrestling discussion episode. So that'll be fun. More
Sure.
more WWE bitching from me. I'm sure that's what everybody loves to hear.
Yeah, I've got a few bitchy things to complain about myself. Actually, that I want to touch on next week.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just what wrestling fans do. We just complain about everything, and because I mean there's a lot to complain about. There's not a whole lot to be like, oh, this is good, because that used to be SmackDown. Everybody used to praise it, and now it's just falling apart. But we'll talk about more words. We'll talk more about that next Sunday. And I've got nuances out. How about you?
Your microphone kind of went glitchy again, and I had no idea what you said, and I assumed it was a question.
Some bitch, Harold. I hate. Yeah.
God damn it! I think it glitched again.
Nintendo nuances.
Nuances. I think I covered everything. Do what? Ah, shit.
Oh, and me.
I don't know what the fuck's going on, but yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover for today.
All right. Yeah, I think the internet's starting to give out on me, so this would probably be a good place to end the episode before we have any more issues.
Okay. That sounds about good, right?
This has been episode 4 of the Gaming Squared Circle podcast. Once again, date is August 6th, 2017. Join us again next week where for episode 5, we'll be talking more about professional wrestling. Biggest party of the summer's coming up soon. We'll be talking about SummerSlam. I know you've in the majority of the episode bitching about the cruiserweights. It could be anything. Anything can happen in the WWE, so why not anything can happen in this Gaming Squared Circle podcast?
Exactly.
All right. So, for Matt Ehrenholt, I'm Brent Shane. So also later today, most likely, follow us on Facebook, SoundCloud. The other social networks are still in the works, but we'll have more information for you when the time comes. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you back here next week.